Hey, you guys, thanks for listening in on this episode on Today of Tips with T. Today I have Miss Erika with us. Hey, Miss Erika, how you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being on the show. So tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, so I work with established entrepreneurs who predominantly have online service based businesses. So they either do a done for you or a done with you service, or they are a consultant, coach, strategist, anything like that. And they are really looking now to grow their business without complex systems, sleazy sales tactics, or battling burnout. So they need some real effective and ethical ways that they can do this that are going to work in alignment with who they are as a person, how they like to show up, and whatever it is that they are aiming for at this next level of their business success.
Awesome, awesome. So, with that being said, how can we market our business um so we can align with our personalities?
Yeah, so I think it's really important to set yourself up for success by being who you are because until you get to a point where maybe you have a larger team and they are doing a lot of the marketing for you, you are going to be the one showing up in the various places where you're marketing your business. And it's really hard if you have some persona that is not who you are. It's really hard to maintain that without getting really exhausted and frustrated in all of your marketing.
Mhm.
And also, then when people hire you to work with you, are you really going to want to keep up that facade while you're delivering whatever it is, while you're doing coaching calls, while you're maybe you're like crafting their copy on their website, whatever it is that you do? It's just so much easier to show up as yourself. I know this can feel scary, it can feel vulnerable, but really and truly, it makes it so much easier to actually attract the right people into your orbit, and it will feel better for both you and them.
Awesome. So what are some ways, I guess, that we can brand ourselves or ways that we can kind of sell ourselves to help brand our personal image? Um, I know a lot of people they struggle with that, but it is a way that you can achieve that. So, how would you suggest going about doing that?
Yeah, so one of the best things I think that you can do to set yourself apart is to let the parts of you that are totally unrelated to your business shine through. So, what I mean by that is not that you have to share every detail of your personal life, and I don't think that we should. Just to make a sale, that can be really weird and awkward for everyone involved. But what I mean is that if you have certain things that you are really passionate about, so for me, I really love like the fall. I love Halloween. It makes me very excited. Everything kind of surrounding Halloween, like I'm 40 years old. I still like to dress up, all of that. I really love that. And so, especially in the fall, I will talk about that. Like, I might share funny memes that have to do with like Halloween or just like loving the fall in general and stuff like that. I also really enjoy true crime. Like I love listening to true crime podcasts and watching true crime shows. And so sometimes I will sprinkle that into my marketing so that way people get a much more holistic version of who I am, right? They can really start to get a grasp on who I am as a whole person, not just who I am in business. And what I've found is that people will actually then think of me when they see certain things. Like I also love Law and Order SVU. So sometimes people like something will come up in somebody's feed about Law and Order SVU. They'll share it to their stories on Instagram. They'll tag me. And it's kind of like free advertising because now their whole audience, whoever is watching their stories, sees that they've tagged me, if they like that original person and they trust them, they might get curious, click over to my account, see what I'm all about, and then start following me and then becoming a client at some point down the road or referring me to someone else.
Mhm.
And I think it just allows people to really get a better sense of who they are investing in and like what that person's values are. I also do it with stuff that's more serious, like my values. I'm not afraid to showcase what those are because I want to make sure that the people who I work with are aligned with my values as well.
Mhm. Awesome. So with the getting the clients, how can we get a clients without getting a burnout feeling? Because sometimes we can try to get clients and it can be overwhelming at times. So what is some things that we can do so we won't get overwhelmed that can possibly lead to the burnout?
Yeah, so I would say first, it's really important to know who is the best fit for your work.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by best fit is like, who do you most want to work with? What very specific problems are you going to help them solve with your business? And how do you like to work with people? So, for instance, I do sales and marketing, but I don't do done for you marketing, right? Could I? Sure. I could absolutely create people's sales emails and social media graphics. Like I know how to do all that. But that's not where my strengths lie. My strengths lie in the strategic thinking part. So I'm a lot better about telling people, oh, here is the big picture of how you can get to your goals. Here are the things I suggest you do.
Mm-hmm.
And then they can either implement that all on their own, or if they have a team, they can delegate or whatever. So getting really clear on that first
Mm-hmm.
is super, super, super crucial. And also, it will probably change over time. You will probably be serving people and then realizing that, like, you want to niche down even more based on your experiences. Or you might have an offer that suddenly you're like, I think I need to tweak this offer.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just a normal part of business over time. The other thing I would say is try to be very like minimal in your marketing until you can start to see what's working and what isn't before you add stuff in. So instead of feeling like you have to be on all of the social media platforms and you need to have a blog and a podcast and a YouTube channel and do all of the things, pick like one social platform, pick one content like delivery platform, and just, if you have an email list, focus on nurturing your email list and do that very consistently, which doesn't mean every day, but pick whatever you can keep up with it sustainably, and then do that, and then see where your clients are actually coming from before you start to add in anything new. And then when you do add something new in, make sure you're consistent with it for about 90 days so you can actually see, did it work? Is it something I should keep doing? Or is it something perhaps I should get rid of and move on to something else?
Awesome. Awesome. So I know you did mention offers. So what are intentional offer designs? I know you talk about that. So what are those?
Yeah, so intentional offer design, again, is really looking into how you want to do your work and in what way you want to deliver it and in what way you want to kind of like just be behind the scenes of selling that as well, right? So if for you, if like group programs are, if that feels really stressful to sell, like something that has a start and end date, and you're worried that you won't be able to fill it, or you just don't really feel like holding space for a community, then that might not be the best fit for you. If you want to just if you like doing one-to-one work, but you don't want to work with somebody on like a long ongoing basis, it might be better to just do intensives, right? Where you like meet for a day or a half a day or even like 90 minutes, and you figure out like you do the thing that you're great at with your clients, and then maybe you give them a deliverable, or you just give them the recording or whatever.
Mhm.
So it's getting really clear around like, how do you show up best in a way that is more energizing than energy draining?
Mhm.
Because if the offer itself, if you are like, oh, I don't really like that, or that just feels really not fun for me, then it's a good idea to know that, and know that there's another way that you can show up. Otherwise, you're going to not want to sell that offer if you don't want to deliver on the offer.
Mhm.
The flip side of this too, because I know that courses and passive products are so popular because there's really no cap on the amount that you can sell. But depending on the price point and depending on who you're serving with them and like the outcomes that people are getting from that, it may require you to invest in paid ads in order to hit your goals.
Mhm.
Now, if you're like, I don't want to do that, or I can't do that, whatever, then it's worthwhile into thinking about, okay, what are some other ways that I could launch? How can I adjust my goals? How could I adjust the price point? And is there a different offer that I could do instead to increase my cash flow now? And then maybe in the future, I will learn paid ads, or I will just hire somebody to do them for me.
Right. I'm glad you had mentioned that because, basically getting clear on what you do and what works best for you, I know um, works for me. Cause like with me, I have like a lot of small business owners that want to get started. So I try to have like a consultation, ask them what all they need, like when it comes to their licensing and things like that, to try to create them a package that works best for them. And then once I create that package, after we talk about it, then I'll go and work on the things that they need and give it back to them as deliverables. Now, what I have found very frustrating for me is after we have that meeting, like you might have a particular customer being antsy and wants to continue to talk about it every day or wants to keep following up on it every day. And it's just like, okay, well, I need to get this done and get it back to you. So I'm finding, like what you said, having the actual meetings first and then telling them, finding out what works best for them. And then delivering them the deliverables after everything is over with, and then trying to explain to them, okay, this is what I feel like you need to do that's going to work best for your business, and this is the time frame that is going to please allow me to get this done. Because if you don't, it can be very frustrating because then you will have different clients that will want you to be basically on the phone with them or working, while you're doing it every step of the way. And that can be very, very time consuming. And you have to be mindful about your time, and you have other clients that you have to get to as well. So I'm glad you did mention that setup.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really important to, I think, to get super clear on who is the best fit for
Mhm.
those offers, and also price them accordingly.
Mhm.
Because if you are not getting fairly compensated for your time, then that too will lead to burnout, because you might be able to sell people into the offer because it might be a no-brainer. But if you are working up against your own capacity, we can only really do that for so long before our bodies just give out.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Miss Erica, for being on the show. I'm going to share your social media handles, tell our listeners how they can get in contact with you. And if you're offering any type of services or specials during this time, feel free to share. And I'm going to share the screen.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's where you can find me, where you can get my no sleaze sales guide. I also have, if you go to my IG, go to the link in the bio, I have several links to other freebies. I have one on creating a profit plan. I have one that is on how to get clients without being, weird, without having to send like cold pitch DMs or anything like that. So I have tons of resources, and I also have a podcast of my own called Sell It Sister. So feel free to tune in there and reach out if you find me through here and say hi.
Awesome. Now, what platforms are your podcasts on?
It's on all of them. So pretty much all of the major ones, you can find it. You can find it on there. There's over 100 episodes now too. So there's plenty to learn from, and plenty to go back through if you are struggling at all with sales and marketing in your business.
Awesome. And if you guys want to get in contact with me, feel free to do so. My number is 910-317-0396. You can shoot me an email at contact@mjfinancial.biz. You can visit the website to schedule a consultation at www.mjfinancial.biz. You can find this episode on Anchor, you guys, and you can find the playback for this video on the YouTube channel for M&J Financial Management. So thank you once again, Ms. Erika, for being a guest on the show today. I highly appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And all right, you guys, we will see you on the next episode of Tips with T.